Welcome to the Weather Guru special podcast on Major Hurricane Milton is racing, leaving the Bay of Campeche now and racing into the central Gulf of Mexico as a Category 5 monster hurricane. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest interpretation of tropical weather as well as weather in the lower 48. Thank you for listening. Right now, you're looking at the latest infrared satellite here. You can see a pinwheel eye, classic fanning out of the high cirrus clouds. It underwent rapid intensification, going from a tropical storm to a Category 5 storm in record-breaking time. And as you can see here, the eye is less than 30 nautical miles wide. It's symmetrical, it's fully charged, and it still has time for additional strengthening here. The hurricane hunters were in and they found pressures as low as 898 millibars. We'll see if the 8 o'clock update confirms that. But right now, maximum sustained winds, the latest with this is at 180 miles an hour with gusts over 200 miles an hour with Milton. This is a very dangerous, potentially catastrophic Category 5 storm. Hurricane force winds only extend out right now 30 miles from the eye, from the center, and that's where those dangerous 180 mile an hour winds are in, within that 30 mile zone, protecting the classic eye, clear eye that you can see all the way down to the ocean surface. Now, tropical storm force winds, unlike Helene, only extend out 80 miles from the center, so it's not a huge system. It's a compact system so far. Now, what's going to be interesting to see going into tonight and tomorrow morning is we're going to see fluctuations in intensity. Obviously, it may drop to a 4 and then back to a 5 again. But we're going to see if it undergoes any eye wall replacement cycles. And we're also going to see what the system, if it undergoes, if it speeds up. Right now, it's like it's forecast to slow down because right now landfall is going to be actually early Thursday morning, somewhere along the Tampa Bay, between Tampa Bay and the Fort Myers, Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda area. We don't know specifically, but right now the consensus models have it going in the middle, right smack in the dab through the I-4 corridor, Tampa, Lakeland, Orlando, Daytona Beach. So in any case, the system is going to have peak intensity sometime tonight or tomorrow morning, with winds somewhere between 185 and 190 miles an hour, and pressure down to about 900 millibars. Now, when we get into Tuesday, as it traverses the central Gulf, it's still in a warm loop current there and everything, but the shear is going to continue to increase as it makes its way to the coastal wind shear, and also it's interacting with the frontal boundary up north. So once it gets close to that, we expect it to land, but it's still going to be a major hurricane because remember, it's still a Category 5. So somewhere they're expecting the landfall of a Category 3 along the west coast of Florida, winds between 120, 125 mile an hour maximum sustained winds. But that's just, but by that time, ladies and gentlemen, this may be a much larger system because remember, it hasn't undergone a IRAW replacement cycle just yet, and it hasn't undergone a system reorganization. You see some thunderstorms blossoming here to the northeast corridor of the northeast quadrant of the system. Will it reorganize itself? Will the eye disappear and then reform somewhere else? These are all questions that the computer models and all of us have. Right now, it's moving east at 10 miles an hour, so it actually picked up 1 mile an hour speed here. But will it continue to get there as it interacts with this frontal boundary come Wednesday? This is going to be the big question. Does it stall out over the peninsula a little bit longer? That's going to provide catastrophic rain anywhere from up here in I-75, Lake City, Gainesville, Alachua County, all the way down 75. Spring Hill, Weeki Wachee, Crystal River, all these areas are going to be inundated with rain. Not only that, with storm surge here to the south, immediately east and south of the center. Of course, it's the highest storm surge that we're looking at right now. The forecast storm surge is 10 to 15 feet. And that's why we have those warnings posted from Antelope River all the way down to Englewood here. You're talking 10 to 15 feet of storm surge, even if the system weakens, because it's going to broaden out the wind field and it's going to broaden out the pool of water underneath it, that bubble of water that's just going to come flowing in here through Tampa St. Pete. 275 there, the Howard Franklin Bridge, all that's going to be closed basically because of the winds going to be going crazy after tomorrow afternoon, probably later Wednesday is today that they're going to start feeling the effects of the system, and then Thursday is going to make that landfall somewhere along the west coast. Now, like you said, 10 to 15 feet here of storm surge, and then down by Englewood, Bonita Beach, this Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda area, you're going to get 6 to 10 feet of storm surge. This could increase. Like I said, right now they have the center going into the Tampa Bay area, but it could come south, as you've seen so many times with Hurricane Ian, Hurricane Charlie. So Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, the Charlotte Harbor area, Fort Myers Beach. I would not. It's not out of the question. So you guys definitely should prepare as if you're getting a direct hit and not Tampa, because we've seen these storms so many times come further south in here into that harbor bay there. Pine Island, Sanibel Island, Captiva Island, all those areas, Fort Myers Beach. Prepare as if you're getting the main part of the storm or the storm surge, because it could come in just south of Tampa Bay, say Bradenton and Manatee County and all that, and that means that you guys will be getting the 10 to 15 foot of surge from Charlotte Harbor into the Happy River, and all those areas, Cape Coral. So be on the lookout, guys, down there. Okay. Now, also, there is some brief storm surge on the eastern side here as the system traverses the peninsula here, but it's only 2 to 4 feet. But be prepared for that to rise as long, and also the areas that got hit with Helene here, only a 1 to 3 foot surge in that area from Indian Pass over to the Swanee River mouth of the Swanee River. So, but flash flooding and storm surge is going to be the greatest risk with Milton right now, as the hurricane force winds only extend out 30 miles from the center. So that's good news, and it's a compact system. It's not like Helene, what was 350 miles of tropical storm force winds, and then you had a big hurricane force wind field. This one is different. This is going to be interacting with a front. So this is going to be flash flooding, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa Bay. At least a 40% chance in this red zone here. And that includes Gainesville, Ocala, Spring Hill, Florida, all the way up through the Bay here, all these areas here from the I-4 corridor north. You're in that flash flood zone because the system is going to interact with a frontal boundary, and it's just going to enhance that rain. You're not going to get the orographic lifting that we had in the mountains of North Carolina there from Asheville to Boone, but you're going to get enhanced rainfall with that frontal boundary that's going to enhance this system, and that's why the National Hurricane Center's issues. Even Miami, down the I-95 corridor, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, West Palm Beach, Jupiter, you guys, Naples, Golden Gate, Bonita Springs, all these areas here, and Everglades are going to be inundated with heavy rainfall here in these zones, and that's why the National Hurricane Center has issued the warnings there. You can see the spaghetti model plots are all in agreement that the system is going to ride along the frontal boundary here, a stalled frontal boundary here, and come out here. Also, later on next week, Bermuda, you can also be affected by the system. Whatever's left of it could possibly be strengthened into a strong tropical storm, or maybe a Category 1, and impact the Bermuda Islands just to the south of Bermuda. So you won't be impacted directly with a direct hit, but you may get squally weather and some occasional showers and thunderstorms out of this system once it exits the Florida peninsula. The good news is also this is going to be a fast-moving system for right now. Once it gets on land, it's going to move across the state quickly. As long as it doesn't stall out with the frontal boundary, it should be off the coast of Daytona Beach by 1 p.m. Thursday. And so by Friday, it accelerates tremendously and is way out into the Atlantic. And then Saturday, like I said, the impacts to Bermuda as a strong tropical storm or a weak tropical storm sometime Saturday afternoon. Now, this may all change, like I said, if the system slows down, if it interacts with the frontal boundary to the north and it slows down instead of speeding up like it's doing now. Then that can be a big problem here as it makes its turn to the northeast here. So once again, hurricane warnings are posted for that area in west central Florida. And the big news is, like I said, it's flooding and storm surge. Winds, yes, that's going to be a problem, but only for the immediate coastline. It's going to quickly spin down here. It's still going to traverse the whole state as with Category 1 winds. As you remember, Charlie did that back in 2004. It traversed the whole state, maintaining Category 1 status winds. So Orlando, Daytona Beach, Seminole County, Orange County, Osceola, all you guys need to be on the lookout for. You could possibly have hurricane force gusts or possibly sustained winds to hurricane force winds. As you can see, it's going to take a while. It's still going to traverse the state as a Category 1 or Category 2 hurricane, even before exiting the state somewhere along the Space Coast, okay? So that's why we say to be prepared, because everybody on this peninsula need to be prepared here for sustained winds above 40, 50 miles an hour and gusts to 60, 70 miles an hour easily in that I-4 corridor and just to the north of the I-4 corridor and the 75 corridor. So from Wildwood, Lake County, the villages up towards, Ocala, Gainesville, Lake City, Jacksonville even though you're going to be on the north side, you're still going to get that rain thrown back at you in the system. Now, two things I want to tell you, just looking at track 2 now. If it takes a more southerly track, that's a great news for Tampa Bay, obviously, because they won't get the storm surge. You guys will have an offshore flow wind, so you probably only get 3 to 6 foot of storm surge as opposed to an onshore flow where you're going to get that maximum 10 to 15 feet if the storm makes a landfall right to the north of you guys. Like I said, once again, like I said, it makes a landfall in Tarpon Springs or something, Crystal River, Weeki Wachee, or, one of the county, Spring Hill or something like that. So the best scenario for Tampa is if it makes a landfall to the south, kind of like what Charlie did down by Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, the Charlotte Harbor, Inglewood, Venice Beach. Let's say it makes a landfall down there. Then that means you have offshore wind coming like that from the northeast. So your storm surge, you won't have a storm surge because the winds from the Bay of Tampa Bay and all that will be blowing northeast. So they're blowing water out of the Bay. So you have the opposite effect. Now, if it makes a landfall to the north of Tampa Bay, let's say it makes a landfall up here in Spring Hill, or let's say even north up here in Hernando County and Citrus counties, then that means that you're going to have water pushed into the bay, and that's the worst case scenario for you guys. You get the maximum storm surge, that 10 to 15 feet of surge is going to come in there. And so that's one thing you have to look at too. Now, Another thing too is, like I said, is this system right now is going to be undergoing. It has to undergo at least one eye wall replacement cycle before landfall. Okay, now that can occur either tomorrow morning or tomorrow night. Okay, but Tuesday's the transition day before it makes that transition in direction, that change in direction, also to the northeast and makes its approach up to the coast. So since the Hurricane Center has pushed the timeline back, that means that this system is probably going to be making landfall till Thursday morning, or maybe late Thursday morning, say like 9, 10 o'clock. That means it's going to be slowing down. It's going to be feeling the effects of that frontal boundary here. Okay, so as it feels the effects of this frontal boundary here, then that means that the system is going to be feeling the effects. It's going to slow down and provide even more rain. So right now, as of the 8 o'clock update, the 7 p.m. central update, wind is still holding steady at 180 miles an hour. But you notice that minimum central pressure just dropped. This is the new update. It just dropped to 897 millibars. This is one of the lowest pressures we've ever seen in the Gulf of Mexico, other than like Wilma and Hurricane Allen and Tip that we can remember on that I can remember on the books. Okay, so 897 millibars is incredible. Credible minimal central pressure, and it takes a while for the winds to catch up. See, the winds at 180, but technically the winds could be as high as 195 or close to 200 miles an hour in the center of the storm. But it takes a couple hours for the winds to catch up. So Hurricane Milton is nearing its peak intensity right now. The stadium effect, you can see that on the radar here. So that's the newest update right there. Now let's check out the let's see if the wind field's expanded here. I don't think it has. It looks like it still looks on satellite here. I'm gonna look at the forecast discussion here. I'm gonna tell you the details of here. The central pressure obviously fall to a near record low. 897 is incredibly low pressure. It's about 60 miles northwest or 100 kilometers northwest of Progreso, Mexico. 650 miles southwest of Tampa, Florida. Okay, that's some low coordinates there. Now, guys, no, hurricane force winds still extend out 30 miles from the center, 80 miles to tropical storm force winds. So that's the good news for us. The wind field hasn't expanded, but this is going to be a rain and surge event right now, as you can see here. And you can see it moving east here. It's staying offshore, and it's going to be moving east for the next day or so. So the turn actually doesn't occur until sometime late Tuesday into Wednesday morning, where it starts making that north-northeast turn right here. Wednesday afternoon toward the Florida coastline. And that's where the models will have a better handle of where exactly it could be heading. Is it going to be South Florida, like let's say north of Naples making a landfall? And then the best case scenario actually for the west coast of Florida is if it makes landfall just to the north of Naples. If it makes landfall like in just to the north of Naples, like Golden Gate or something, or something like that. Because even though it'd be bad for that area, but the storm surge would be less because for Tampa, because it'll blow, the winds will be coming offshore. They'll be blowing offshore like that from the northeast, and that even includes Charlotte Harbor too. You know, so that'll be the best case scenario if it came into south of Naples and the Everglades and went across the state like that towards Miami. Now Miami would get flooding rains in the Everglades, but it would be a better scenario if it came across the state in the southern half here, the less populated part where it was south of Naples and the Everglades, like Marco Island, Thousand, if it made landfall somewhere between Naples and Marco Island, that'd be the best case scenario for the west coast of Florida. It won't be so good for the middle and lower Keys because they'll take an almost direct hit from this powerful system. But that'll be the best case scenario for Tampa and the Charlotte Harbor and even Naples area, because everybody had those offshore winds and they wanted to be dealing with maximum storm surge of 10 to 15 feet. But we can only pray, we can only hope. But if it comes into Tampa Bay, then that's absolutely correct. They would have 10 to 15 feet of storm surge, in addition to strong winds, at least initially up to hurricane force. Now, these are the warnings posted here. As you can see in red, tropical storm force warnings, hurricane warnings posted all up and down, even in the central Florida here, because you're going to be seeing those winds gusting to 75, 80 miles an hour along Tampa, Lakeland, Orlando right now. And even though Ocala, Wildwood, if you're in any of those areas along I-75 and south, you need to be making those preparations today and tomorrow to protect life and property. Now, another thing too is that I noticed is that the speed the speed is maintained a constant to east at 10 miles an hour. We're going to check on this again here. I want to show you that was the latest update as of 8 p.m. It's working with a lot of oceanic heat content. As you can see here, right now the heat content is lower. So for it to be going through this transition in a lower heat content, but in about 12 to 24 hours, it's going over this warm part, this oceanic loop current in the Gulf of Mexico. That's going to come late Tuesday into Wednesday. That's the maximum strength, and then it's going to encounter shear somewhere about, let's say, about maybe 270 miles southwest of Tampa, somewhere before it makes landfall. late Wednesday night is going to encounter that shear and that frontal boundary, and we're going to see how that interacts with it. It should weaken it down to a category 3. That's what the models say, but you just never know with these type of systems. It may not have any effect on it because it's such a mature hurricane. So just want to bring that in the case here of what's going on here with the system. But this has been your update for 8 p.m. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest updates on Major Hurricane Milton as it continues to barrel across from lead the Bay of Campeche into the central Gulf of Mexico in those warm waters and low shear environment for the next day or two. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for subscribing. I'll see you on the next episode. God bless.